The following is an excerpt from tonight's brand new episode of the Geekvolution Radio Hour, beginning at 7 p.m. Central Time on the Supervillain Network. Tonight, Steve Baxey fills in for Vince, and you don't want to miss this one. We're going to be talking nothing but San Diego Comicon news through the entire program. We'll be discussing Deadpool, X-Men Apocalypse, New Earth 1 books, and more. Hope you can make it, and thanks for listening. And we're going to begin with the Suicide Squad trailer. This is a thing that I was going to do a video on Geekvolution with Eric on, with one of our regular contributors, if you're not familiar with the channel. And Eric is a big Deadshot fan. He likes Suicide Squad, and a lot of people asked us to do a video together, and he wasn't able to make it. So Steve and I are going to do that instead, and I'll be posting part of this later on the channel so that folks get to hear us talk a little bit about Suicide Squad. We're not going to do a full hour on it like we did Superman Batman. Sorry, the Batman vs. Superman trailer. I always put Superman first because it looks like a Superman movie.
Yeah, it does.
But anyway, let's talk Suicide Squad a little bit. So this trailer was not supposed to be released to the public. It ended up leaking, and then Warner's decided, okay, fine, we'll just go ahead and post the thing. And now we're able to see it in high def glory. And Steve, I gotta say, man, my first reaction was, oh, cool, these are way more interconnected than I thought they would be.
Oh yeah, totally. The fact that the Joker stuff is traveling between both films, and you get a shot of Batman in the trailer. I did not expect that you would get that. I mean, we knew he was going to be in it, but you actually see him riding on the Joker's car. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And what made me so excited about that was I was like, well, first of all, just that we have more of a connection between those first two movies, because it felt so counterintuitive to start with villains right after Batman vs. Superman. It's like, oh, and then we're going to introduce a bunch of people's rogues gallery before we even see those people. And the way the trailer spins it, like, these people have been around, but they've been kind of underground and not doing anything. And then for some reason, Superman popping up makes all the crazy people and the superpowered people go, you know what? I guess this is a world where people like us should come out and do things. And I don't know how that will play exactly, but it might be a really great excuse, Steve, because when we first saw it, when we saw Man of Steel, it really looks like a universe where nothing weird has really happened yet.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Yeah, and part of it is also that the Batman of this universe has been active for, according to the Superman trailer, like 20 years. So he's got to have been fighting somebody. And I guess to that sense, it makes sense to introduce all those characters, especially with the Joker.
So many of them Batman villains.
Yeah, exactly. The Joker's not really a big Suicide Squad character, but because of how popular Harley Quinn's got, you can't do Harley Quinn without the Joker, and you got a Batman being reintroduced on film. Might as well make him the big cap-off to a trailer like this. If you don't sell people on a bunch of villains, you sell people on a new version of the Joker.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I kept thinking when we first heard that we were going to get a Suicide Squad movie where you have not only a movie where your protagonists are anti-heroes, but where it's a really big ensemble cast where you have multiple protagonists. Now, it might be that we're mostly focusing on Deadshot, or that, it's kind of Harley Quinn's movie, or however it is that they end up doing it. But I was like, well, what is their opposition? And the sense I get from the trailer is that Batman will either be in more of the movie than anybody has any idea of, or that he'll be kind of in the background fighting against this force, but that the real antagonist will be the Joker, and that it will be anti-heroes versus straight-up evil. That's the sense I get. I don't get the sense from that trailer, Steve, that the Joker is a member of Suicide Squad, or if he is, he gets out of it really quick.
Yeah, it's hard to say, because there's only so many glimpses of him. We get that one shot where he's walking through a hallway, and then we have that one shot where presumably he's torturing Harley Quinn, but we can't really tell.
Yeah.
So it's very possible they could be on the Joker. Lots of people are saying that this is basically live-action Assault on Arkham. So the Joker could still be the centerpiece for that. And I guess if you want to introduce people to character as big as Deadshot, as big as Harley Quinn, and as big as the Joker, I guess that's the best plot to do it in, because that's basically their movie.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. And I kind of hadn't thought about Assault on Arkham, but that makes a lot of sense. And weird how much, who knows if they even looked at that, but weird how much, like, really super recent stuff is influencing the DC movies, given that, because, I mean, we're already hearing things like Jeff Johns is probably going to borrow a lot of stuff from Earth 1.
Yeah.
And well, I shouldn't say borrow, he wrote it, so he's going to take his own material and put it in his but, when he does the standalone Batman thing, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the program, but yeah, like, it's interesting that you've got 75 years of DC continuity, and we're just like we did with like the 90s X-Men show, going to so much like stuff that just came out 6 months to a year ago from Claremonti and stuff. With this, we're going to stuff that like we just did.
Yeah, and I think that's my biggest problem with the trailer on a whole, is that it's the biggest problem with the Suicide Squad comics and the New 52 is that they weren't really the Suicide Squad. They completely twisted what the characters were and made something completely new and slapped a label on it that was Suicide Squad. And that trailer is this. And David Ayer is a really good director, and I love all of his work, so I'm sure he can make it work. But just from the trailer, aside from calling it Suicide Squad by Will Smith and having Amanda Waller there, it doesn't feel like Suicide Squad to me. It doesn't feel like those comics, aside from the New 52 stuff.
And because my only experience with Suicide Squad has been in relation to other things, seeing them in TV shows, because we've had now like 3 or 4 different iterations of Suicide Squad in TV shows, and seeing them in Batman comics and other sorts of things. I've never really read them much on their own, so I didn't get that, and that wasn't a thing that bugged me. But yeah, I guess that's a really good question, Steve. Do you think that diehard Suicide Squad fans, going back are gonna be irritated that it's too contemporary and that we're not really making what they would think of as a Suicide Squad movie?
And I guess it's a little bit tough to say, because they've got like a mix of the old team and the new team, because Enchantress is there, Deadshot's there, because you can't have a Suicide Squad team without Deadshot. You've got Captain Boomerang there, and you got Slipknot there, and those are all Ostrander type characters. But what they're doing with...
I love Slipknot! Not that Slipknot.
No, not that kind of Slipknot. But then you got Harley Quinn and you got the Joker Factory.
That band should do the entire soundtrack for that movie, because it would totally fit.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, the Suicide Squad Slipknot album. Sorry, go ahead.
But then you got Harley Quinn and the Joker there, and you've got Will Smith, and we've seen the set pictures that he's got "I am the light, I am the way" on his costume and stuff, and he's got a cross, and some people have said that he might just be like mocking, he might just be doing like a mocking commentary on religion. But doing Deadshot with any sort of tie to religion whatsoever is not Deadshot. So all they're really doing is they're hiring Will Smith and giving him Deadshot's costume, which could be great. That's what Tony Stark is in the Marvel movies. He's not Iron Man. He's Robert Downey Jr. in Iron Man suit, and it's still great. But as far as not knowing this universe yet, not really trusting it after Man of Steel, we just have to kind of wait and see. And if nothing else, I'm really glad David Ayer is at least bringing his own take to it. This is 100% a David Ayer film before it's anything else.
So it sounds to me like the verdict is still out for you. You're not dismissing it or just completely condemning it because it's not what you were wanting.
Yeah, I mean, I want this to be great. I mean, Fury was one of the best films I've ever seen last year, and I mean, I trust this director. It's just, it's not what I want, doesn't mean it's bad.
Yeah, I think it looks, as we said with Batman vs Superman. First of all, I don't know what I would have thought of this had we not already seen that new Batman vs Superman trailer. Like, I think that really helped me just kind of get into into a little bit of a feel for what this universe might sort of be like. Like, it's really stylistic looking, just like Batman vs Superman. It looks kind of in tone consistent enough with that movie. Obviously, it's its own thing, and it's about a bunch of supervillains, and it's about convicts. So it's gonna be a much rougher thing, and like a convict, maybe kind of heist movie or whatever it is that they're hired to do.
Yeah, no, you're right. And the biggest thing for me is the guys running around with like the Batman mask and the panda mask and stuff, shooting guns. That's really comic booky. That's great.
And super creepy. And I think that's the best way to put it. I love how creepy it looks, and yet tamer than I thought it might be. Like, you look at the Deadpool trailer and you're like, okay, that's just as raunchy as I thought it would be, and I'm glad that they got kind of a red band type trailer at Comicon right out the gate. I mean, that was a leaked thing, and I haven't seen it in glorious HD or whatever. So, but heard what people were saying, and there was a lot of profanity. Was kind of surprised that this looks as tame as it does. Now that doesn't mean it's going to be, but like my wife looked at it, and Sarah was like, "It actually looks really good," and she didn't think she was gonna have any interest in it, and she was like, "This is kind of tamer than I thought," and she's like, "It actually looks like a fun movie." Yeah.
Although interestingly, Suicide Squad comics, even the New 52 stuff, it isn't like explicit at all. The thing with the Ostrander stuff is that it's extremely political right off the bat, and the stuff with the New 52.
But I'm surprised not to see more violence right out the gate. Is all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, that's true. There was no blood spatter or anything. The most violent thing we've really got was the guy with the guns and the last Joker line at the end, which was pretty dark.
Harley Quinn looks really good. I don't really know that actress from anything, but she looks good for the role. I thought doing the kind of trademark Harley Quinn, like a bubble pop in that trailer was a nice touch. The Deadshot costume looks fantastic.
Yeah, regardless of how much I think Will Smith is miscast, the Deadshot costume looks fantastic, and Margot Robbie's the only actress you'd cast for Harley Quinn at this point. She's fantastic in Wolf of Wall Street, and she brings that character to life in a really good way.
Getting a glimpse, though, of what Will Smith is doing with that role, it sure doesn't seem like he's just doing a Will Smith. Like, it seems like he's trying to bring like a world weariness to it, and like he's trying to act like really hard, and like he's been through a lot, and like what I'm saying, it just looks like he's doing a performance and not just being Will Smith and it acting like a Will Smith action vehicle. Like the sense I get from it is it's gonna use Will Smith sort of like, except that he's one of the main characters. This comparison breaks down at some point, but it looks to me like it's gonna use Will Smith sort of like Kick-Ass 2 used Jim Carrey, except Will Smith will probably not condemn the project right afterwards because it's too violent.
I guess that's true. The verdict's still out on me. Because he's turning in a very Will Smith performance. Like, I've seen him do this performance in 7 Pounds. I've seen him do this performance in Pursuit of Happiness.
You know what? That's, I mean, there's even maybe some Hitchcock in it, or not Hitchcock, Hancock. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right. I didn't think of that.
And at the
I'm trying to give it the benefit of the doubt because I like Will Smith is the thing.
I like Will Smith a lot too. I think he's a really fun actor. He's just nothing in his filmography screams Deadshot to me.
Is the problem that he's too recognizable, or is the problem just that you don't think he's right for the part?
I just don't think he's right for the part. Deadshot is a very particular character. He's got a very particular expression, a very particular way of speaking, and that character was so fully formed the moment he came out that when you put Will Smith in, and you got a guy that's he's got a very kind of open personality. You know, like no matter what part Will Smith plays, he's always a guy you can look at comfortably. That's not Deadshot. You can look at Will Smith and smile no matter how dark the movie is. You can't do that with Deadshot. Deadshot's the guy where the first words out of his mouth for any problem are, let's shoot it.
Maybe they'll change that for you, you know?
Yeah, maybe so. I hope so. I like Will Smith. He's a fun actor.
One thing I bet we can both agree on, Steve, is at least what they showed us so far, they nailed Amanda Waller.
Yeah, I agree. She's
she's got that line at the beginning that just sums up her character completely, and like that actress, she looks perfect.
Yeah, she does. She looks great. I love that line where she said, "I put him in a hole and threw away the hole." That's great.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm surprisingly excited about it. It's not a concept that I really wanted to see brought to screen before a lot of other things, but now that they're doing that, I think what's making me more excited now that I've seen something from it is that I'm starting to get the notion that they're very smartly just going a very, very different direction than Marvel did.
Yeah, I agree.
It no longer feels like they're just trying to cash in on what Marvel did in case this whole superhero craze breaks down real fast. Like, it really feels like they're like, okay, we want our own expansive universe, and like we want to capitalize on it in that sense. But how can we make ours stand out completely? And how can we make it something that is so different from Marvel that if you are the kind of person that doesn't like those movies, you might like ours instead, or you can like them for different moods. They just look like such a different thing, and that's also not to say that they're not going to make a universe where you can't tell a whole lot of different kinds of stories. You know, necessarily. Yeah. Like, can't you start with gritty in exactly the same way as Marvel started with a little bit more lighthearted and then go to gritty? I mean, Marvel has shown us that you can start with that more lighthearted thing and even give us a movie with a talking raccoon in it, and then suddenly give us a thing that is really gritty street level. Can't you start with gritty street level and then get to something more lighthearted somewhere else down the line? That's what I'm hoping maybe we'll see.
Yeah, and I think Suicide Squad's perfect for that, because that's a thing that is just visually a very gritty thing, but idea-wise, dialogue-wise, banter-wise, character-wise, it's really goofy. It's a story that at the same time does a blatant criticism of Cold War policy, has a subplot where guys running around throwing pies in people's faces. That's just that kind of universe. And
you but you already said that what you're looking at it isn't exactly Suicide Squad. So do you think that from what you've seen so far, and it's hard to know, that they might be taking it too seriously, or are you surprised by how not too seriously they're going?
I'm surprised by how not seriously, because I mean the thing is, thematically and just what little we know about the plot, it's not Suicide Squad. Tone-wise, it is. This is what a Suicide Squad comic looks like, even if it's not the first thing you see on the page.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm stoked about it. I think it's got the potential to be just all kinds of fun. And again, a different kind of fun than Marvel. These things are gonna be really dark, but I don't feel any more necessarily like they're coming off as, look, we're the first thing ever in a movie history that's ever been dark. Like, I don't feel like that anymore, and that's the thing I was kind of afraid of.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm surprised at just how much they got that clear right away. Like, they know what this movie is. It comes out in August. Civil War comes out in May. We still haven't seen anything for that. Like, these guys know what they're doing really, really clearly, and I think that's partly why we trust it now.
Yeah.